Animism. What is animism? Animism is a prominent concept within First Nations communities of Canada. This belief of having faith in the spiritual dimensions and viewing everything possessing a spirit and life force is the root of the religious practices and identity of these cultures. Animists see life flowing through not only living things, but also in plants, trees, rocks, and all natural forces and phenomena such as the rain, sun, and moon. When they die, the being lives on through the presence of the spirit and exists in nature rather than a supernatural world. Spirits are regarded as being deeply interrelated with the physical environment, able to influence the world negatively or positively. In animism, if spirits are not treated well, they could possess another person or harm society and wreak havoc. As such, animism practices are generally based on respecting the spirits of nature and the world. Origins of animism date back to the Stone Age, 10,000 years ago, and animism is deemed as the starting point for human religious development. Location and nations. This idea is prevalent through primal and tribal communities, especially those reliant on hunting or nature for surviving. The Canadian First Nations are no exception, most notably the 5 indigenous tribes of the Cree, Inuit, Mohawk, Tlingit, or Algonquin, from the Ottawa River to the north of Canada. Though these 5 cultures have drastically different perceptions of religion, for example, the Algonquin people believing in the Supreme Spirit, Itichi Mantau, that created the world, while the Inuit people believed that there was no deities and that humans had free spirits rather than one. Despite their differences, animism remains similar of believing in a spiritual realm that is interconnected with the physical world. Spiritual significance. Animism possesses indispensable spiritual significance to the First Nations, as their culture is founded on the beliefs of animism, whether it is stories, dances, or ceremonies. The concepts of life force and spirits act as a bridge for the Aboriginals attempting to understand their surroundings, including natural phenomena, disasters, or geographical features. More importantly, it attempts to explain questions, such as life after death or the origin of creation, whose answers are the source of traditions and rituals. For example, the Inuit believe of the human being made of 3 parts, one of which is a name. After special funeral rituals upon death, there are practice of passing on the name onto another person, which metaphorically is symbolic of passing on the spirit or to the soul could continue living. The understanding of the world from animism is spiritually significant in bridging the gap of the unknown and is a fundamental component in how the First Nations view the world. Another form is that animism defines the cultural identity of the First Nations, as animism is the root of religious festivals and celebrations, such as the rite of passage or the dances after hunting. These celebrations are a core component in bringing the community together, as well as the cultural identity of the community. These 2 points show how, to the First Nations people, the beliefs of animism and spirituality are significant, whether in their culture or understanding the world. Members involved in animism. When discussing which members are involved, animism is a religious belief that is generally involved with everyone in the First Nations community, whether through ceremonial activities such as dancing or singing, or traditions of respecting nature and other spirits. However, some prominent figures in animism would be the shaman, the spiritual middleman between the spiritual world and the physical world, who has supernatural ability to perform spiritual healing and prophesize the future. These individuals are deeply involved in all aspects of animism in society, as they communicate between realms and see the spirits within animism. Underlying core beliefs behind animism. Animism itself is a belief, but the underlying beliefs behind it is that everything possesses a spirit or soul, and that spirits are interconnected with the physical world, thus that nature is not separated from the supernatural. These surroundings may include other living creatures, celestial objects, or components of nature. Another key belief is that the spiritual world is more powerful than the physical world that they could perceive, which leads up to the animistic values of respecting the spirits as well as nature. Animism. Its relation between modern-day religions. This belief is greatly related to other beliefs learned in the course, for animism is considered as a seed of all religious ideology and infiltrates most religions. It is the start of believing in the spiritual realm different from the physical realm, as well as an attempt to explain where the dead would go and the origins of creation. Though modern-day religions differ greatly, of believing in more complex systems of afterlife as reincarnation or heaven or hell, as well as deities or one god rather than in spirits. Animism establishes the same relationship of respect and value for things and beings like other religions, even if they are invisible. This is especially connectable to Christianity, who both have similar ideas of being close to nature, awareness of the spiritual realm, and recognizing human weakness. However, animism in general has many gods and spirits, rather than monotheistic in Christianity, and that repentance or forgiveness in Christianity is replaced with sacrifice and appeasement in animism. The concept of divination in shamans, of entering the spiritual world by the way of ecstatic trance, is also seen in several religions, like, for example, in the astrology of dharmic religions, where people with divinations can predict the future and forecast fortune. As such, animism has strong associations with modern-day religions, but is the rudimentary version of them and has less developed mechanics or rules than them. Conclusion. Overall, animism is a crucial component in the First Nation culture, forming their traditions, identity, and beliefs of creation and the surroundings. This belief greatly influences the ceremonies, rituals, and practices, and is spiritually significant in bridging their understanding of the world, as well as explaining several natural phenomena. Animism is also the foundation of the religious beliefs of the First Nations, as well as a seed for modern-day religions in terms of spirituality and mechanisms. References.